Hey there, Amanda from the Happy Homestead. It is 7:30 in the evening. I have just hopefully successfully bribed my children to stay upstairs and get their showers and jammies so I can do this tonight. But I need to show you one of the things that you can do with your sourdough discard. So I have this container quite full, probably close to 2 cups worth, but I'm only going to be using 1 cup tonight. And this is something that you want to start the night before, and we're going to let it sit on the counter all night, and then tomorrow morning we are going to be making waffles. We're making sourdough waffles. This is so easy. It is literally one of the easiest things to do with your discard. And I cannot take credit for the recipe. The recipe is from King Arthur Baking. So the King Arthur website, they're a very well-known brand for flour. And they have a lot of great sourdough recipes on there. But this discard, waffle discard recipe is from them. And I'll link it below so you can get it. The other thing I love about this recipe is that it has the measurements in cups, so volume, and also weight by grams. You may have remember when we're doing sourdough, it's usually best to go by weight, and you want to seek out recipes that do that because you're just going to get the more accurate final product, the most beautiful final product. So let's get going and put our batter together for our sourdough waffles. Again, super easy recipe here. All we need is 2 cups or 241 grams flour. This is soft white wheat flour that I've just ground in the mock mill. You're gonna need 2 tablespoons sugar, and that's just again for the yeast to have something to feed on. 2 cups buttermilk, and 1 cup of your starter. And that is all we're putting in our bowl tonight. So let's start with that. I've already measured out the buttermilk and the flour. So I'm just going to measure out my sourdough. And tear the scale to 0. And the recipe calls for 1 cup or 227 grams. Now, I just took this off. Now you're going to notice with your sourdough, and if you smell it, it has almost an alcohol smell to it, and you're going to see like a more liquidy top up here, and you can pour that off. That is actually, they call it hooch, or the byproduct of the yeast feeding. So it is kind of an alcohol-ish substance. You can pour it off or you can just leave it. It's not going to hurt anything. So 227 grams. Good. And we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of sugar, which is about 28 grams. I'm not gonna weigh the sugar. I'm just gonna do the 2 tablespoons. Okay, we don't need the scale anymore. I'm going to add in my 2 cups or 241 grams of soft white wheat, and then I have 2 cups of buttermilk here. I'm just going to mix this together. So this batter recipe is great for waffles, but it is also really good for pancakes. It's kind of an either or, sourdough waffles or sourdough pancakes. So if you have a bowl with a lid, that works, or you can just use some sort of wrap on top. I love these fabric beeswax wraps. And leave it on the counter overnight, and we'll come back to it in the morning. There's one more hack that I want to share with you. So we buy this freeze-dried buttermilk from Azure Standard, and I will link the product link down below. And it is a lifesaver. I have bought the freeze-dried buttermilk, coconut cream, and powdered A2A2 milk. All 3 of those. And lifesavers, truly, when you're baking and cooking in the kitchen. And so I store this in the refrigerator. I have the larger package in our freezer, and then as this gets down in volume, I'll take some out and keep this in the fridge. And this is a 3 tablespoon to 1 cup of water ratio. So before I turned the camera on, I put 6 tablespoons in here as well as 2 cups of water, and then just let it sit for a little bit and mixed it up. And it is a great way to have instant buttermilk. So until we get our own freeze dryer, I buy from Azure Standard. Okay, as you can hear, my monkeys are not listening. So I need to go tend to them, but I will see you in the morning. Good morning. We are back and it's time to make some waffles. So I have 2 eggs, salt, baking soda, and coconut oil. Let's get this mixed up and cook it up. And here is our batter. Look how beautiful it is. It's totally fermented. And it actually smells really good. So that's what we're gonna mix everything in. I'm gonna go ahead and just start putting the other ingredients in while the coconut oil melts. So 2 eggs. Oh, and I plugged in my waffle maker over here, so that's heating up too. Three-fourths teaspoon salt. 1 teaspoon baking soda. And my oil is nice and hot. I'm just going to mix this up first before I pour that in there. And just for reference, because this morning was really crazy, it is currently 11 a.m. So this was not my children's breakfast, but it can be tomorrow. So I say that because it's really, there's no set time that it has to sit out for, right? So make it work for you. Don't stress. But do you see these bubbles? Do you see that? That is the sourdough. That is the discard yeast doing its work. Now, this is at the point where if you wanted to add like blueberries, cinnamon, right, you could add some good flavorings here to make some delicious waffles. All right, our waffle maker is hot. So I'm going to cook these up. It's going to take a little time to get all of these cooked. I'll show you the finished product and then what I do with them. Waffles are done. I have 6 waffles here. I may have eaten 2 while I was cooking them, just eating them with nothing on them, and they were so good. So it made 8 full-size waffles. I have 6 here. Let me show you what I do with them. So if you're not gonna eat them all, right? Maybe you have a big family, people over, and you're just cooking up a really big breakfast, this is a great way to get some homemade sourdough waffles out. And you can do a lot of the prep the night before. Or maybe you just want to bulk batch some of these waffles, bulk cook them and batch them up to have them later. And that's what we do. Let me show you. So I have a cookie sheet here. And I'm going to take the waffles and I actually break them up into the fourths, right, the quadrants. And I will spread them out. And then I put this cookie sheet in the freezer and I freeze the waffles. And then once they are fully frozen, I put them in a bag, like a Ziploc bag, in the freezer. And so when we need a quick breakfast, we just pull out as many as we need. And you can throw it in the toaster, you can throw it under the broiler for a couple of minutes just to heat them back through, and they'll be nice and crispy. You don't have to worry about them being soggy. I will need another cookie sheet. But I just throw that in the freezer, and then once they're frozen, put them in a bag. So I need to go take care of the rest of these waffles. Go make your own homemade sourdough waffles or pancakes. This batter is so easy, and it's so much better than any kind of batter you're gonna find in the store or pre-made mix in the store. It's a great way to use your discard. Save your discard until you get enough, and then make a batch. Stay healthy, stay well. See you next time.